Oh no, my buyer wants to use a lender from out of town. What do I do? So this is a question that we hear a lot from usually newer agents that come to us and say, hey, this buyer that I'm working with, they found a lender who's not in Austin. Maybe it's a WellsFargo loan officer, or possibly it's a lender from better.com or something like that. And I'm not sure what to do. How do I convince them not to use this lender and to use somebody local who is going to close on time? Well, the good news is that you're naturally going to develop ways of handling this in your career. Like you'll gain some more experience over the years that will help you explain to buyers why it's in their best interest to use somebody local. The bad news is those are usually personal stories that you collect over the years of deals that went bad or that almost went bad because an out-of-town lender screwed it up. Maybe you don't want to go through these bad experiences, and maybe you want to help your clients avoid those bad experiences now. Well, if you use these strategies, it will help you explain to your clients why it's in their best interest to use somebody local who has a strong reputation. And that's what this is all about, helping people understand what's in their best interest, helping get in front of maybe a bad decision that one of your clients might try to make. So the first thing you have to do is understand why your clients might want to work with a non-local lender. So your clients usually have what they think are logical reasons why they want to use someone not in Austin and not with a local reputation. Generally one of four reasons. Very often, buyers will mistakenly think that they will get favorable terms and or have an easier time if they use whichever national retail bank they currently bank with. So they've been banking with WellsFargo for 7 or 8 years. They have a lot of money in the bank with them, and they think that because of this, that WellsFargo will provide them better rates, or WellsFargo already has their financial information, so it's just going to be easier. Number two, they might have seen misleading marketing online or elsewhere showing rates that don't actually exist. And that's a pretty easy one to get around. Number three, they might think that an out-of-town or out-of-market lender can get them better rates, or maybe they think that the most efficient way to get a better rate is to just go shop a whole bunch of these out-of-town lenders, and we can speak to that as well. In every case, your clients will believe that there's no downside to using an out-of-town lender, and that's ultimately what we have to help them understand. So let's go through each of these and let's get in front of them. Let's explain to them why that's not the case and why using a local guy or girl is going to be in their best interest. So if they think that they're going to get more favorable terms from their national retail bank because they've banked there for a long time, you have to explain to them that this simply isn't the case. There are rare exceptions where somebody is with private lending with WellsFargo or something like that, and they have millions of dollars with this bank, where they will give them a sweetheart deal, generally asset-backed. They have millions of dollars, so they're borrowing against their own money, things like that. If that's not the case for your clients, they're well enough off to buy a house, but not a bajillionaire, there is a 0% chance that any bank will give them favorable terms simply because they have their checking accounts, some savings accounts there. And quite the opposite, it will be very, very frustrating for them. And the easy reason why is that these big national banks, they don't pay their loan officers very well. So their loan officers are generally paid base salary, which is a little bit higher, and then incentives that are a whole lot lower than most of the mortgage folks that you guys know, who are operating almost 100% on commission, just like we do. So they don't pay their folks very well at these big national banks, and so there are good people there, but they generally leave in short order. As soon as they realize, I can earn more money, at a mortgage-focused institution, they will move over there for a better paycheck. So you explain this to them and introduce them to somebody local who will provide much better service and better rates, and that usually gets in front of that. If they've seen misleading information online, says that they can get them rates that don't necessarily exist, what you want to do is say, that's fantastic. We need to get this in writing. We need to get a quote on paper so that we can then compare it with somebody local. And most of the time, what you will be able to do is take that quote, send it to the local lender. They'll be able to look at it. They'll be able to decipher and explain why that misleading quote is a misleading quote. A lot of times these guys will hide things, title policy, for example, title fees, they don't know exactly what the fees are going to cost, so they'll put in misleadingly low fees there, or maybe they put in a much lower insurance rate than they really can get. So at the end of the day, it's a deal that is not really a better deal. So the third reason why people will go with an out-of-market lender is because they think that they can go shop a whole bunch of them and they'll be able to get a better rate by doing so. And sometimes they can do so. I mean, sometimes you can really just beat these guys down until you get a rate that's really, really low. But most of the time, if you take whatever rate and whatever deal that some out-of-market lender has and you present that to a great local lender, that local lender will usually be able to match it or beat it. They'll usually go to management, they'll get an exception, something like that. And so they will be able to provide both excellent service, close on time, and they'll be able to match or beat the rate that they found online. But the most important misconception is that there is no downside to using an out-of-town lender. And there are lots and lots of downsides to using an out-of-town lender. So the number one reason why you want to help your clients understand that they don't want to use an out-of-town lender is that they want a smooth transaction. That's what everybody wants. You want it, they want it, seller wants it, listing agent wants it, title wants it, everybody wants a smooth transaction. And whenever somebody is from out of town, they have a much higher likelihood of providing a rocky transaction. And the reason for this is because they don't have a local reputation to protect. So if you go to a lender who is in Connecticut and they're going to offer loan services here, well, that person wants to do a good job, but if they don't do a good job, there are no repercussions. So they're not as interested, they're not as vested in providing a very, very smooth experience. Same thing, or same reason why they will not be as concerned about closing late. Everybody hates closing late. Everybody does. And what we found is that whenever you have an out-of-town lender, it is way more likely that the deal will not close on time. And whenever deals don't close on time, big uncomfortable things happen. They have to reschedule movers. They have to reschedule utilities. Seller might want additional earnest money. Seller might want a per diem. In a terrible case scenario, seller just kills a deal. There's a better deal waiting behind you, something like that. So closing on time has massive consequences. And whenever you work with somebody from out of town who doesn't have a local reputation to protect, they're much more likely to close late. And then what everybody knows about, strong pre-approval. So whenever you bring a pre-approval letter and it's from an in-town lender with a strong reputation, the listing agent says, this is great. We have somebody local. They have a local reputation to protect. Maybe the listing agent has worked with them before, and they're going to feel very good about this local pre-approval. Conversely, you bring them a pre-approval from a WellsFargo, you bring them a pre-approval from a Bank of America, or from some no-name mortgage company from Connecticut, Arizona, California, wherever it is, the listing agent is not going to be excited about that, and quite the opposite. They're going to say something to their clients. I know that I would say, look, offer looks good, but they're using an out-of-town lender, higher likelihood things could get rocky, and they will take that into account. If you're in multiple offers, that will definitely work against you. So whenever your client thinks that they want to use an out-of-town lender, put yourself in their mindset. Why do they want to use this lender? And again, they will have a misperception that there is no downside to doing so. Help them understand that there are lots of downsides. Help them understand why you want them to use a local lender. It's through, no personal interest other than trying to make sure the deal is as smooth as possible for them. We always act in our clients' best interest, and we strongly believe that it is on our clients' best interest to use a local lender. Hope this is helpful for you. I hope that you can, take this information, pass it along to your clients, and you can help them have a much smoother experience and a great transaction. Thanks very much. Have a great rest of your day.